Many thanks, Baikor. Once again, you watching Star Television here at the Sadauda Karabakh Conference Center in Bijilo, where, of course, the 15th session of the Islamic Summit has been taking place, and today is the final day. You've heard from my colleagues Kausu Baji and Baikor, and now joining me is, of course, my able boss, Mr. Famara Fofana, who once worked with the state media, and Isatou Keita, who is part of the subcommittee for the OIC. Ladies first, Madam Keita, good morning. It is still 11:44. Welcome to this 15th session of the Islamic Summit Conference on Star TV.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailo. It's indeed a pleasure to actually be here. I could say maybe this could be my second time on Star TV, and I think it's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Many thanks. Mr. Fofana, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. The other day I stayed at GRTS, I'm back home. Star also would be my other home.
You're in between.
Yes, yes. So it's my first time actually to be appearing on Star TV, but I'm grateful.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Fofana. Let's begin with Madam Keita, who is part of the subcommittee of the OIC as far as the media is concerned. We've, of course, seen the Gambia hosting the OIC Summit, and this is the 15th edition. The Gambia should have hosted it in 2019, but due to some lapses, the Gambia could not host. But this time around, finally, on the 4th and on the 5th, and of course, today is the final day. So far, so good. What have you seen as far as the OIC is concerned?
Well, it's been quite impressive, taking cue, like you made mention since the beginning, that people started preparation and looking forward to hosting the 15th OIC Summit here in the Gambia. Being a small country in mainland Africa, and looking at the country in terms of size, population and all that, having to host such a big conference, which is the second biggest after the UN General Assembly, it's quite a privilege. Like I always tell people, it's a privilege to be alive to witness something as this huge, because I wouldn't know when we are going to have to host something as big as such. That alone, it is, in its entirety, it's a good thing to actually witness. It's good having the 57 member countries represented and coming to the Smiling Coast and looking at how much development this has actually brought for the country. The Gambia is quite something to thank God for. I think this is a very good thing, looking at everything in perspective, the planning, the collaboration, and everything that brought us to this level. It's indeed good.
The country has been busy for the past years, from the Banjul International Airport here. We've seen many differences as far as this OIC is concerned. I've been in the subcommittee. Tell us some of the challenges you face, since the preparation, the first day up to date.
Well, that has been quite a lot of challenge. I wouldn't say we didn't. It was a very, very daunting one. One thing I will first point out as the challenge, which will be quite very obvious, walking from the stairs up, going all the way to the accreditation place where accreditation cards are being printed alone, it's a Herculean task for us as members of the committee. And then the fact was more like having applications, media applications for accreditation of over 200, and now limiting it because of the issue of space and all that, owing to the fact that we can't have all media personalities or personnel to be going inside and cover the event. We look around, being small country, but then the number of media houses and the media personnel has actually grown over the years. And then having all of these people applied was one thing that was a challenge. And from applications, you move on to shortlisting all of them, and now curtailing it to just a few number. And all of these people need to be provided accreditation. That was another job entirely apart. And dealing with the aspect of people want to be accredited, because everybody will want to witness this, everybody will want to cover. That was a problem. Who do I give? How do I end up making selections? Even when people were given accreditations, others will come back and say they need or they must be accredited. That was something. And people might think that you as an individual is the one making decisions as to who is to be accredited or not. which was another problem. How do I even explain to these people? Even when you explain, people are not sometimes ready to understand you. That's a problem that we still face, even up today. People actually attack you and tell you that you refuse to give me accreditation, you refuse to give me access, and that's not it. This, although Gambia is hosting it, it's not like Gambia controls everything in its entirety. And the fact that even if we should have controlled it, Gambia, whatever happens, we are actually putting ourselves to the entire world. Everybody is actually seeing us. How do we manage? How do we control? How do we ensure that the summit is hitch-free, especially in terms of media coverage and getting it to the world? What we do is not us individual or our media houses, but whatever we do in terms of what we publish is us selling the Gambia. So these are things that are very, very important. So we look at who, when, and how do we actually accredit people, and how do we ensure that we are able to manage them to get the best out of the summit at the end of the day.
That's Madam Keita, a subcommittee member of the OIC Media. And now on my right is Mr. Famara Fofana. He's not a stranger to the media, of course. He once said it here just a couple of minutes ago. He said when he was at the state TV a few days ago, they told him you are back home. And of course, Star is definitely Mr. Famara Fofana's home as well. Even outside of job, you know, you would see Mr. Fofana, you know, mingling with the staffs of the institution. Mr. Fofana, once again, how do you feel, or just tell us a bit history about the 2006 AU Summit hosted here in the Gambia and compare it to this one? Because at that time, I was young, I was going to school, but perhaps you were somewhere else, Mr. Fofana.
Okay, thank you very much, Bailo. I'll be very honest. By 2006, I was in the media.
Okay.
I joined GRTS in 2007.
Okay.
But obviously, any event that is only second to the UN in terms of profile and size and prominence, definitely, you may want to draw parallels, but it's not as huge as that one, both in terms of logistics, in terms of human resources, every facet of planning. So, where you have 57 countries, obviously from around the Ummah, around the world, that is a step, a notch further above the African Union, because when it's the AU, you are dealing with purely African countries or member countries from within the African continent. But whereas you are dealing with the OIC, you are dealing with the Muslim Ummah from around the world. Representation from Saudi, from Turkey, from Iran, from all the global powerhouses that are Muslim countries, to West Africa, from Jeddah to Sierra Leone to Gambia itself. So this is a mammoth task, it's a mammoth conference compared to what the AU would have offered you, both in terms of planning, in terms of the logistics, logistical preparations, and how stretched people are. If you look at this, you know, some of us have been here since Monday, dedicating our time to make sure from the media point of view, everything's hitch-free. Although I have to say the media is just a subset of the local organizing committee. The LOC has different entities. You have the transportation subcommittee.
What does the LOC mean?
The local organizing committee.
Okay.
Yeah, LOC means the local organizing committee. This is the body charged with the smooth affairs or running of conduct of this summit. And if you look at it, it has different entities. You have the security component of it, you have the transportation component, you have the media component, you have the catering component. So it's a big thing. That is why, to make it very smooth and to make it very hitch-free, specialized committees were set up, so that persons that have rich experience in those backgrounds are brought in to serve and play their part voluntarily in these respective committees. So from our end, myself and Isa and Tali Gibran, you know, the editor, the writer himself, and also Alassana Tunkara, you know, and Muduba of the BBC Sports, we were co-opted into this team so that we also play our part to ensure that the kind of attention, this kind of coverage that this is deserving of is projected to the world. So basically, in comparison to the AU, this would have been a very, very different level summit.
Isatou just mentioned something very important about the challenges, you know, she have been facing, or you people have been facing, about how, you know, those one, being accredited to come and cover this, because this will be a history. We know, of course, the media has been playing a very, very good role, and youth people are lucky to be part of the subcommittee. Tell us the important role the media have been playing from the onset to today, because today is the final day.
Yeah, definitely the Gambian media, the landscape, they have been terrific from the build-up since the day was confirmed, definitely, we have to agree that there were some hesitations on the part of people or in terms of whether the event will hold. But when there was that momentum on the part of the media, the publicity, the publication, the coverage from day one, that instilled a sense of belief in people that definitely this is indeed definitely going to hold. So coming back to the event itself, on the eve and 2 days before, there was a beehive of activities here.
Okay.
News organizations locally have been here present after the accreditation was confirmed, trying to make sure that the public is well informed even before the day itself. And that for me has set the tone. You know, the pulses of people were tested by the media, and they were able to give people the rich information from background information, what the OIC entails, and the history, the kind of expectations we have. All those were well done by the media ahead of the day. Coming to the day itself, unbelievable. The challenge was just huge. Accreditation for me was the biggest challenge. Media engagement is one of the most difficult tasks for any individual, for any organization. It is a skill, but it also requires patience. We've been bombarded with requests, we have bombarded with questions, but it's not easy. We know the Gambian journalist is a committed journalist. We have bottlenecks in terms of capacity. We have logistical, human resource, or even material resource challenges. But our people from the industry, they did their best. We also did our best to ensure that we may not satisfy everybody 100%, but at least we work hand in glove very closely so that what we desire for this event in terms of coverage, in terms of the news, in terms of dissemination of information is done accordingly. And we have to, at this juncture, recognize the importance of every news organization in the Gambia, even those that are present here or that are not present. That is one aspect. Dealing with international organizations or the international news media too is another thing. I did a video, Isatou saw it, where you see journalists like, figuratively like pack of wolves rushing so that they get the right space in the hall. But we organize ourselves in a way, everything moved very smoothly. Isatou was manning somewhere, Moduba somewhere, Talib Gibran and myself, making sure that journalists from around the world, Al Jazeera, from the sister countries that have representation here, are all treated with the due respect they deserve, and also so that they have a fair spot, a very strategic spot, and that was provided to them at the hall. We began first with the arrival stage where the president was receiving the dignitaries and the heads of state, and there the media was accorded the vantage view, a very good vantage point of the entrance position. So, and that is where the whole thing started. And, it went very well locally too. Yourself, GRTS, iAfrica, QTV, you can't mention everybody. All the online outlets were here, patiently doing their job, making sure that their respective
plus the international media
are given the coverage that everyone deserves. And I think that has played a part to the public knowing what is happening, unfolding within the confines of this place and also at the airport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fofana. We will be coming to that briefly in the local language now. I will turn my attention to Madam Keita, possibly in Wolof. Tell us the challenges you face as far as you are in the subcommittee or the LOC, whatever you name it, possibly in Wolof or any local language you are comfortable with.
You'll actually put me in a very funny situation because
any local language
I,
you are comfortable
when it comes to Wolof, I actually stumble at times, but I will try.
Please try.
Jërëjëf Baylo comme ni nga ko waxee nekk na mbégte ak kontaan trop pour ñu mun a teewee li nga xam ne moo nekk fukk ak juróom-ñaareeli réunion bi nga xam ne moom lañ def pour njiiti Afrique surtout Afrique ñoo xam ne ñu ngi nekk si réew ñoo xam ne réew yi jullit lañ. nekk na pour teewee lii rek nekk na mbégte torop boo ko gisee daje bi nekk na daje boo xam ne comme moo gën a mag su passé UN General Assembly bi te mbégte la pour teewe ko te ñun soñ liggéey si wàllu bi yëpp moo nekk ñun ñu ngi àndoo ak taskati xibaar yi seen mbir comme comité ñun bokk nañ si mbootaay bu mag buñ sos mbootaay si biir mbootaay buñ sos bi nga xam ne ñun ñu ngi diil ak taskati xibaar yi boo ko gisee ñun suñ background yëpp si mbiri tas xibaar la loolu moo tax ñu boole ñu si yooyu so ñun luñ doon def mooy comme nekk na mbootaay dajale boo xam ne comme réew yi yu bari ñoo nekk di ñëw fii mbiri sekk kaaraange nekk na lu am solo si mbir yi yëpp soo seetloo kaaraange dinañ ko seetee si fànn yu bari moo tax comme ku nekku ne ñëpp ku nekk wala réew bi ñëpp ñoo mun a ñëw ñu teewee mbir bi dafa am ay sart ak niñ koy dem doxalee loolu moo tax ñun ñu boole ko so ñun suñ liggéey moo nekkoon si mbir yi am taskati xibaar yi ñu seet ñan ak ñan lañ ci war a boole ñan ak ñan ñoo war a gis surtout ñoo xam ne bokk nañ si bunti tas xibaar yi nga xam ne nekk nañ si réew mi am nañ lu ëpp 2 téeméeri taskat xibaar ñu apply yoon pour gis ne ñu jox leen carte yoo xam ne dina leen mën a am accès pour ñu dugga si biir léegi loolu nekkoon na liggéey bu mag torop si pour ñun léegi fu ñooyu noonu ñu apply yëpp da nga leen toog nga seggaleen nga seet ñan nga war a jox ak ñan nga war a jox parce que ñëpp a bugg a ñëw pour tombeel yi nekk na loo xam ne lu am solo la léegi waaye du ñëpp lañ mun a parce que space bi doo am ay gan ba pare nga dem feesal nit ñi foofu noonu nga xam ne ñoom seen kaaraange sax ñoom dinañ ko question at the end of the day léegi ñun loolu lañ doon nekk di xool mu ngi seet naka la ñoo defee ni mu nekkoon liggéey bu rëy pour ñun parce que taskati xibaar yëpp ku nekk bëgg naa tombeel ne man de bokkoon naa si ñi màggaloon yii nii loolu moom suñ jafe-jafe bi nekkoon na si mbiri comme jox nit ñi ay accréditation card bi nga xam ne pour am access dem nañ ba pare woon nañ suñ liggéey sax waaye ba tey nit ñi bëggoon nañoo ñëw waaye ay jànkuwante amoon nañ fa ay jànkuwante bi nga xam ne nit ñi bëggoon nañoo ñëw waaye mënuñ leen a jox ñu si bari sax ñeneen dinañ dem mere la foguñ leen xamuñ sax lan moo tax ñu mere la pour ne ñoom dañ yaakaar ne ñoom war nañ fa ñëw bu desoon suñ coobare boppa ñëpp dinañ ñëw ku nekk gis sa bopp parce que buñ ne Gambia ñun ñëpp la soxal léegi loolu nekkoon na jafe-jafe bi nga xam ne ñun mënuñoo am suñ mbokka taskati xibaar yu bari pour ñu ñëw tooy ñoom tam ñu tas xibaar comme seen morom yi ñu ngi koy defee fii.
I want to ask, what is the difference between Jankuwante and Tolof?
I wish I could get somebody to actually help with
Mr.
that.
Fofana.
It could be. Galankor, yes, all of those things could be.
Mr. Fofana.
Is the master of speaker.
They are, of course, him and Isatou. Quickly, ngayong phone mane kamala demanding. Ngakalam dakare ni OIC system da bakiring. Kabirin til dentang komantu jang. Kibar bunda jamal ba bizirin jang purka ko dal. Ita fu mo leko mimba kering wiring along ba minkera banku nyaran ka jamal fana mabe data nying bengol do jang. Jikira ko bile famba kala bengo nyina kumfa longoti ka fa nyami doron li robina suti ala tongola. Bari subcommittee wala LOC almo mo leti million ko dal ali simfa jamal fananta ka ko dal kibar bundal fanam binalal jan even though mobe manna but then afu mo le dorong kibar bundal aliye lud la minta kabo til dan wala kana bila fo aliye kulya kol do so gena wa bisa fa
ya kulya kol so le baylo baraka ba so media committee nying fanandabe committee bala ko ne ka fami local organizing committee so kafu bañi fana committee dol fana bodo transportation be jele security be je bar dol la fanda be diamo be dikla wal kam li aji ben tol mel be ni committee da ko mo la melan ko journalism or media experience so de meta do ko ni so de be wala ko na Isatou Keita wala ko na Talib Gibran wala ko na Mamadou Ba wala ko ani ade drabe QT kada ala sana tun kada so na lo dañi be mo net pour ka mol ma ko programme ni OIC summit ni ngabe so ne ala nyama pour kibaro fitra nyama mol way sone and dol fon man tra kibaro di kamba di kan journalist to fan ka fa di pari na lo da fa ni pour ka journalist ke latina be de mala nyaade pour kibaro fi di ani da fa nyama do ko nyima easy Isatou ava nyami ni ko nyimben sifa pour e mol naade ye ka fa ni delta coverage la banda international summit o dawda banta banko ka o nyimben ba sifa foi access card di mola bajo mi ala ko lo bayta ko Isatou de apota GRT sa apota QT apota janale anu mola mi ala ko ye ay right so de o privilege prime in cover so baro kado de danya wala problem odi me apply rada mo ke me fulani fen so bari to be bendi no la jang ko anna le programme so alhamdulillah ngana kada ko be kene mel nyanta ka soto atata fo mo tan nano asfiata gambeno me media house lo ngambe be representation so jall ana man ke be bari majority be mo so jall so ndole nyama bari to fona yakata kam baake janim be o kasi card sol dital bari buka mo be satisfy an bi mel ka be ko fa kam bolbe killo ke kana ha na fam gole na fam bar alhamdulillah momo yalla koy be jaw man tere jam because live streaming be ke kan
exactly
site yalla technology be nyame ani
momo dara compare wari international media exactly
ibe live streaming monitor kan ida GRTS ko station do jam
ibe la mo radio la exactly star FM bana ba bonde kan live
so star FM GRTS
exactly
I Africa ani nyinto mal be kan fatu network moment to come online outlet of no be siadi back so don't need to look for kam bulo du yobule ning dia mol min fana gestande be so do nyaadi dani press so be fintila do la do ko do ni secretary ka do ko men daga mol ba ngadi mol la but not directly but through the media houses so whatsapp radio so do ko non mi am fem be ke kan do so daga ko la pol so kibaro comme Isatou ya fanya programme o nyinga be Gambia le bari Gambia fana mu member di OIC Gambia dama atama di OIC so fodol be ni Gambia fana mo bara so OIC la headquarters be Jeddah bar bangol be tama so disono be findira on kibaro abuga ko itala ka decide so nim fem nadan to ka make sure ni ka wol ka kele ko la ko ka so bar ka nakato be ga media center fana so den bala ko mada no fana do media center ni je molbe siaran je la journalist solbe do ko la je workstation be je ni lafta story se lafta ka voice iba voice la ni lafta fana ibe editing kala you know iso fana be keno so media center asi mo keme fula ni fem wala be jantende so be pour ka do ko sonani mo fu dal alhamdulillah abita kan na fine me jikila ko nin ko fana banta kibarol fana ibe contribute la pour ka je ko gambe fana yo way so la dal